Hi, I'm Pat Wiley, and this is Waupaca Local Live.
There's a rhyme for every reason. There's a time for every season. Each line in nature's song fits just right. Summer skies all hot and hazy. Big white clouds slow and lazy give way to shorter days, colder nights. There's something about the first fire in the wood stove every year that marks the end of summer, says winter time is near. It's sad but reassuring, like a hug from an old friend. There'll be many fires to follow until spring returns again. We carved out this simple life, seems to suit me and the wife. Our roots run deep, don't think we'd ever go. There's far too many memories here, stacked up like firewood through the years, enough to keep us warm when cold winds blow. There's something about the first fire in the wood stove every year that marks the end of summer, says winter time is near. It's sad but reassuring, like a hug from an old friend. There'll be many fires to follow until spring returns again. Cedar kindling pops and flickers. Nights the oak, the smoke gets thicker, like magic up the chimney. It all goes. This morning is just as it should be. Steam swirls rise from hot black coffee. I'm a lucky man, this I know. There's something about the first fire in the wood stove every year that marks the end of summer, says winter time is near. It's sad but reassuring, like a hug from an old friend. There'll be many fires to follow until spring returns again.
Nice. That was great. Well,
Thank you.
welcome everybody to Waupaca Local Live. We are here live in the studio. Excited to be here. My name is Marcy Boku and my co-host Tammy Jo Berg. And we have Pat Wiley here tonight. And Pat is just a very prolific songwriter. We have lots of questions for you, Pat.
Okay.
But I'm so happy to hear that song because we haven't started our wood stove up yet.
Okay.
But we know friends that have, and you
Yep.
just kind of get that feeling. Is that what this song is
Yep,
about?
I wrote this a couple years ago on a morning with that. It's an annual event, of course. We've had two
Yeah.
fires in our stove so far this season. It's been the summer that doesn't want to end.
Yeah.
But today was one of them. It was kind of cold and rainy,
Yeah.
but been heating with wood. We live out, my wife and I and the family, we live out in the woods, and we've been heating with wood for about 30 years. And it's just a lifestyle, and it's a tradition, that first time.
Yeah.
Because we have in Wisconsin a very short non-burning season. It's about 5 months long, where there's this 5-month period where there's not a fire in that stove. But that first one, it always smells a certain way. There's a little dust on the stove, I think, that burns off that first fire. I don't know. It's just that anybody that heats with wood knows what I'm talking about. And so
Yeah, you're
that's
giving us the
song.
360-degree experience here. I mean, I can almost smell it. Thank you for reminding me. And I have a feeling that all the songs are going to touch us that way tonight.
Well, I will see. I write. They say write what you know. So tonight I'll be doing. A lot of my songs have firewood in them for some reason, because that's a lot of my life. But tonight it'll be about grandkids and and getting old, because they say
Oh,
write
my
what you
gosh.
know. And I think that'll pretty much cover my material for tonight.
Excellent. Well, Tammy Jo, I know that you have a lot of things you want to know, so let's get started.
Well, I've known Pat for quite a long time, early, mid-'80s.
When you were just a
I
child.
was just a child.
Yeah.
So you've been playing for a very long time.
Yes, ma'am.
And what got you into music?
Well, I come from a musical family. We sang. I have 3 older sisters and a mom and grandmas that sang. My grandpa played fiddle, and I don't know. We just sang a lot as a family in the car. And we had a rule: you couldn't sing at the kitchen table, or you couldn't sing at dinner, which is interesting. Makes me laugh that you'd have to have a rule like that.
Yeah.
But in our family, you did. And my sisters played guitar, and so I started playing when I was a kid, 10 years old.
So what was your first instrument?
A guitar.
A guitar.
And played my first gig out at age 15. I turned 65 this year, so it's my 50-year anniversary of
Wow.
performing, for money. Sometimes, but so this went so fast. Tammy.
It did go fast.
But, so when we met
Jeez,
back in the
oh.
80s, I was playing full time, and in 86 to 96, I was a full time traveler and performer, and I've always done a lot of different kinds of music: old time music, bluegrass music, old time string band, call barn dances, because I like that. I kind of come from a hillbilly family. But I've also written all my life too, so I would do a lot of my own material. And so that's kind of what I'm doing these days.
How many different instruments do you play?
Well, I don't play any of them too well, I don't think, but I play guitar and banjo, a couple different styles banjo, and I play the fiddle, and I play a little single roll button accordion. That's kind of fun, and then jaw harp and armpit, just things that you have to do, to survive.
Does armpit actually qualify as an
I
instrument?
think so. I'm not very good at it. I people who can play body parts are, to me, I am a pretty good face player, but I'm not going to do that tonight because we don't have time. But and jug band instruments, I don't know if those count, like jugs and washboards and stump
I would say they're
fiddles
instruments.
and wash tub basses and stuff like that. I like all of that kind of stuff. Homemade, kind of earthy, rural music.
I like the genre rural music. I think that's very fitting. Yeah.
Well, if you say country music, that's a real
Different feel.
Yeah, but it also is like, what is that exactly? It used to all be country music, but so rural is kind of what I put my genre as, because nobody would mistake me for a city boy from my material. So, yeah. Yeah.
Excellent.
So what is your next song coming up?
Well, I'll do as long as I'm. So I just finished an album project with some really good Wisconsin musicians. Art Stevenson of High Water plays harmonica on 10 of the 16 tracks, and he just
16 tracks?
yeah. And,
Whoa.
it's all original stuff, and it's all country and bluegrass, and that I wrote, most of which I wrote this year. But two songs I drug up from the 70s that I'd never recorded. And so, but anyway, so Art's on it, Joe and Sue Cronick of Handpicked Bluegrass, and a young banjo player named Gabe Dettinger plays 5-string. I caught him a week before he moved to Tennessee to play with this David Peterson in 1946, a real big name bluegrass band. And Eric and Amanda Bestial from Iola, a bass player and electric. Anyway, so it's, and then my daughter Jolie sings harmony. It's a good project. So I'll play a couple songs off of that. And this one is, it's a song about women, not any one particular woman, though it's called Henrietta. And that just happened to be the name of this woman, but it's actually a song about all of you back to the landers, hippie women that I've known in my life, and my wife and my grandma and and people that have gardens and they raise kids and they do, they do the right things for the right reasons. And that's kind of what this song is about. It's called Henrietta.
All right.
She chose an honest, simple life some don't understand. To be a mother and a wife and a steward of the land. Her days are filled with subtle thrills that please her grateful mind. She tends to home and family. She's gentle, wise, and kind. She's never fed her man-bought bread, instead bakes it in the oven. The house is filled with kitchen smells and down-home country loving. She sews clothes, she holds rows, never quits when life gets hard. Works barefoot in the garden, packs her harvest up in jars. Oh, Henrietta, her friends call her Hen. She's a throwback kind of gal from way back when. Her kids are grown, they've all left home. She's got a few gray feathers showing, but she keeps a rooster in the yard. He still feels like crowing. She finds wonder in a milkweed pod, free seeds to catch the wind. She's bloomed where she's been planted, sends the same wish off within. Oh, Henrietta, her friends call her Hen. She's a throwback kind of gal from way back when. Oh, Henrietta, her friends call her Hen. She's a throwback kind of gal from way back when.
Oh, very nice.
Very nice.
Thank you.
Very good. Thank you so much.
We have an audience, but he never claps.
Yeah. Come on.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Woo-hoo-hoo. Thank you. Now I'm good. That's good. Thank you very much.
We've got an audience on Facebook too.
Okay,
so
cool.
I'm just going to mention one person that I'm sure you know, Cal Kinnison.
I don't.
Oh, you don't know
at
Cal.
least I'm very bad at names.
Wow.
But
Okay.
I don't know. But hi,
Hi, Cal.
If I should know you, Cal, and maybe if
Yeah.
I forgot you, I'm sorry.
And a Tegan from Eugene, Oregon is watching.
Nice.
And a couple other people that I can't see their names. So
Okay.
yeah,
All the
this
way
is
from
great.
Oregon.
Yeah.
And is
Yeah,
it Oregon or Oregon?
Well, we call it Oregon, but that's because we're from Wisconsin. So apparently it's
talk
Oregon.
funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm just interested actually in knowing that you mentioned you've been doing this for 50 years.
Yep.
And at what point did you start writing songs? Has that been from the beginning?
Yeah, I was writing songs probably around 15, 16 years old.
Oh, okay.
And I think and maybe earlier than that. My mother was a really good singer and a real influence in my music, but she was also this word person. She was a Scrabble nut, and she was a punster, and she was always playing with words and inspired. And my job as her son, her youngest child, was to entertain her, of course. And so, so my love of words, or playing with words, I think came from her.
Okay.
And so I messed around even as a young kid with words.
You mentioned that you're going to do a song tonight or a song on your new album, I should say. A couple that are from the 70s. So is that from that time period?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah, and
'cause you would have been
earlier
around
than
15
that.
in the 70s, right?
Yeah, I would have, let's see, 71, I would have been 15. With
Okay.
my math. Math isn't my
Okay.
subject.
Wow.
No, I would have been 71 in No, I would have been 71 in
No.
You're not
1915. Is that what you get it? Yeah, no, I was born in 1956, so whatever that
Okay,
math comes
okay,
up to be.
okay.
But so in high school, I played, was playing out with older guys sometimes, country mostly, but I also played in a duo with my best friend, Pat Emerson, and we wrote songs together and played. And we'd do, kind of Everly Brothers stuff and harmonies and things like that. And unfortunately, I lost Pat in a fire in 1976 as a young man. And yeah, that wasn't so good.
That must have affected you.
Yeah, that was
and your
kind of
music.
some lost years there, and so and it was not good, but anyway, so we were writing and performing our own stuff as teenagers.
Wow.
And I wrote quite a bit, and then I had a slump of 20 years that I wrote one song. When I quit playing full time in 1996, I turned 40 and had a midlife crisis and got a day job with benefits and a 401k, which I'm liking now because I just retired.
You just retired, right?
3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that was a good move. But at the time, it was the right thing to do. I had 3 kids and they were in school and it just fit. But to leave a world of being self-employed and playing music was a little hard. And my brain just shut off. I wrote one song in 20 years.
Wow.
And which is called Cow Tutors. It was about methane and the global crisis and stuff. That was the only song I was able in 20 years.
That's
I
all you
had to
could come
write
up with.
that. Right?
So what did you do for that period of time when you were working in
I'm
the
a
real
counselor. I
world?
worked in the alcohol and drug addiction
Okay.
field for 30 plus years.
Wow.
And I'm a recovering guy as well. And so
Okay.
early in my life, I ran into a lot of trouble with drinking mostly, and quit and got into a recovery program as a young man. And so music and that have been kind of my life. So I got into the counseling field and did that for a long time. And I'd use music in my counseling sometimes and songwriting and stuff too.
Wow, thank you for sharing that.
Sure.
That's kind of like not required to go that
Sure.
deep. But
Well, I'm not. Yeah, I'm
I
not
think
embarrassed.
it's a great thing when people do share that because so many people keep that hidden.
Right.
Right?
Well, there's nothing about not drinking that's embarrassing to me. There was everything about drinking was embarrassing because I just
Wow.
wasn't good at it. And the more I practiced, the worse I got.
Do you think that being, abusing substances is what the term is, right? That was maybe partially why you weren't able to write music?
No, actually, I was
or-
writing quite a bit then.
okay.
But
I got
but
mine.
not good. And I wrote more after I got sober for sure.
Okay.
And it was just better stuff. I mean, it was kind of dark kind of stuff. But
Yeah.
but from the age of 23, so I'm 65 now. I'm not doing any more math tonight. But I've been a sober man, and so all the music I've done, all the songs I've written have been from that mindset.
Wow.
Not being stuck in a jug. So, I'm happy about that.
That is
and I'm able
so
to do that because some people
cool.
don't have that flow, without a substance. And for me, I needed to, stop. So, boy, I hadn't really intended on talking about
No,
that.
that's
We should
okay.
play
I
more
think that's
songs.
really inspirational,
It
actually.
is inspirational.
You're going to be inspiring other people just
Yes.
because you're able to share that story, I think.
Yeah.
Well, music is more fun. Life is just more fun sober, for me. 'Cause-
Yeah.
And most people can take it or leave it. I couldn't do either. And so for people that can't take it, that's fine.
Yeah.
But for me, it was just a mess. So.
Wow.
And then has your songs evolved as you're coming into this age after 50
Well,
years
I
of
just write
performing?
songs about getting old and grandkids now. I got tons of them, but I should probably do another song, don't you think?
Yeah.
another song.
I do have a question,
yes,
though, from
sure.
Heather Renee. Wants to know where we can purchase your album. You did talk about this new
Sure.
album and this
I've
project.
got 3 albums out,
Okay.
CD projects that I've done in the last 4 years. I've done 3 albums, and they can find them on my website, which is patwileymusic.com.
Right.
PATWILEY.
And I'll just mention that we did post your website this
Okay, cool.
afternoon. So
Nice.
just scroll down on Facebook, Heather, and click on the picture of him with his grandchild.
And that's Ruby.
And it says patwiley.com, and that's the website.
Okay.
Correct?
And then otherwise, we're, streaming wise, all, iTunes, Apple Music, Amazon,
Wow.
basically any of those things, you can get them for free because everybody listens to music for free. On Spotify, I think all my albums, and the three are Heart and Home, Wood Stove Sessions, and Back in the Day. Those are the names of the three
Okay.
albums.
Okay.
And they're CD and MP3s, but they're on Spotify, and I think the newest one is on Pandora, if you like
Okay.
that. The Back in the Day, and YouTube, they're all on YouTube. I post stuff on Facebook and YouTube. If I write a song, I post it.
Yeah, you do. You're really good about that.
And people think, well,
That's awesome.
people are gonna steal your songs. It's like nobody's gonna steal my song.
No,
And
everybody's
there's
doing that.
whatever. So I write songs, and especially with COVID, they haven't been able
Yeah.
to play out. So
Well, we'll talk more about COVID. I just want to mention we have Pat Wiley in the studio, Tammy Jo Berg, and myself, Marcy Boku. He's going to do another song for us now.
okay.
Pat Wiley.
All right, so we'll do a song about, this is the title track of the album called Back in the Day. And so I've been writing a lot of songs about getting older, and I'm not a youth worshiper, and I'm happy to have the opportunity to grow old because the alternatives suck. And but so I've been writing songs about it. And this is one, it's a little tongue-in-cheek kind of number.
As I look in the mirror now, there's wrinkles, lines, and gray. I step on the scales, it seems pounds won't go away. I guess I'm getting older, and all I've got to say, they sure had better looking mirrors back in the day, back in the day, back in the day. They sure had better looking mirrors back in the day. Young pickers in the parking lot were tuning up to play. So I encased my Martin box and wandered down their way. As I approached their circle, I thought I heard one say, "Oh, look, an old bluegrassosaurus from back in the day, back in the day, back in the day." An old bluegrassosaurus from back in the day. Around the festival grounds one sunny summer day, I passed a group of women there all dressed in bright array. I tipped my hat, they rolled their eyes and sighed and turned away. I remember when gals would blush and smile back in the day, back in the day, back in the day. I remember when gals would blush and smile back in the day. Feel much different from when I was a kid. Mostly I do mostly all the stuff I always did. I like to stay up most of the night, pick and sing and play. Seems like the nights were a little shorter back in the day, back in the day, back in the day. Seems like the nights were a little shorter back in the day, back in the day, back in the day. That's what us old timers all sure like to say.
Thank you.
Back in the day.
Wow.
Thank you very much.
Not that I can relate to
No,
that.
not that anybody can relate to any of it.
No.
I hope everybody can relate to all of it.
Wow. I have a thank you here from Heather Renee, who says, thanks. Tell them as past coworkers say hello, Mary Kay and Inez.
Mary Kay and Inez.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
hello.
That's great.
Mary Kay and Inez are great folks. They're right here in Waupaca. I used to work a little
Okay.
bit in Waupaca. And Mary Kay must have retired too, because I emailed you, Mary Kay, to say I was retiring, and it came back undeliverable. So there you go.
Okay. Something's going around.
Check out my website. Very good. Thanks.
Yeah, that's great. Oh, I like that song.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm hopeful about that.
Yeah.
I as a songwriter, I perform, but also pitch my songs. You know, and it would be nice to have somebody famous kind of pick up one of them occasionally, and we'll see about that one. I think it's got some promise.
Yeah.
Because it's cute.
So what would you say has made you grow the most?
Pie.
Pie.
Have never met a pie that I didn't like.
Grow the most as a
Actually,
musician
as
and
a
artist.
As a musician and artist. Well, it's funny. So I talked about this slump I had, this 20-year slump of not writing songs. There was just nothing there. There was nothing coming. I said everything I had to say. And this is a segue to the next song, by the way. So along comes, I become a grandpa. I turned 60. I became a dad at 30. My daughter Jolie was born. And then 30 years later, she has my first grandchild, Ruby. And so I turned 60. Falling in love the second time around with a kid becoming a dad, I thought was this growing thing that I helped, that helped me to grow up in my writing and just in life in general. But becoming a grandpa, it opened up my heart again in my mind. It was interesting, and putting picks on and on the banjo, which is a whole different thing. But it was something new. It was like hillbilly Sudoku. I wanted something to keep my mind something new, and so I started playing some bluegrass banjo. And so the two things that I think that opened up my music again as an older person were those two things. And the first song I wrote out of this 20-year slump is a song I'll play next. It's called Ruby Jane. And I write a lot. I had a 2-hour commute to work every day, and I wrote a lot in the truck once I started writing. And I used to.
2 hours there and 2 hours back?
An hour there and an hour back.
Okay.
And I've never had an accident. But I work on songs while I'm driving, and I used to do that when I was playing for a living too, because I had 3 kids, and when I was home, and there was no time to write. So when I'd leave home to go play, then I'd work on songs in the car. And so now that I'm retired, I have to drive around the neighborhood in my truck. So I'm not going to save on gas, I guess. But anyway, so becoming a grandpa, I think, opened my heart. And then opened up something in my mind again. And so this first song was called Ruby Jane. I'll let you, if you can hang on to that for a minute.
I think the first time I heard you played a song called Daddy's Little Daughter.
Daughter's Little Daddy.
Little Daddy.
Yep.
And that was about Jolie Ray.
Jolie Ray, yep. And did it make you cry?
Yes.
Yeah, it's a good song. And Daughter's Little Daddy. And in that song, there was the last verse was about, she was just a baby when I wrote it, about the same age as Ruby was when I wrote this one, about 1.5 years. And there's a verse in that song about how Jolie was going to grow up and write her own songs and not, and dance with someone else and all that kind of stuff. And of course that happened.
Yes.
Because that happens in life. And so there's a little bit of that in this song too. We'll see 30 years later. But it's called Ruby Jane. All right.
First time that I held her, looked down in her face, she went right straight to my heart, took me to that place. Just like her mama did 30 years ago. Sometimes I can't believe the loves that I have known. The loves that I have known. She's my little girl, the gemstone of my day. She's my little girl, little Ruby Jane. When she comes to visit now, she comes to play. Sometimes that first look at her still takes my breath away. Then she grabs me by the hand, and it's off we go. There's no doubt she'll wear me out, but Grandpa can't say no. Grandpa can't say no. She's my little girl, the gemstone of my day. She's my little girl, she's my Ruby Jane. I don't think she'll remember the waltz we danced today. I know I'm bound to lose a step by her wedding day. So I hope the music seeps down round her soul, so she can feel her grandpa's love when she hears an old banjo. When she hears an old banjo. Life is such a circle dance, we learn as we go. With every swing and twist and turn, every do-si-do. I've known the love of elders, my wife and kids have been my world. Now I guess it's Ruby's turn to give my heart a twirl. Lord, she gives my heart a twirl. She's my little girl, the gemstone of my day. She's my little girl, love my Ruby Jane.
Ruby, she's
just said it.
she's a treasure. She's
Yeah.
quite a kid, and my grandboys are too. So I have 4 grandchildren now, and I'm just blessed. It's just the best. They're from 5.5 to 0, and but it's just
Fantastic.
again. I had 2 sets of grandparents that were very important to me, and they were in my life a long time. My father's mother lived to be 100 years old, and she was a great storyteller. She grew up in the logging camps up here in Wisconsin, and she was a great storyteller, and I was a good listener, and so she's just, and so I write a lot of songs that came from her inspiration too. And my other grandma, immigrant from Finland, came from Finland in 1917, Martha, and so I was lucky to have grandparents, and so I'm just blessed. I'm like being a grandpa.
Well, it sort of comes all around, doesn't it? It's just great that your topics of your songs are just, they're so simple, and they're the everyday things that we all, there's not like any highfalutin weird.
Yeah,
Because I haven't heard all of your
I'm not a
music, but-
Dylan guy.
Yeah,
It's like,
it's just-
I'm going to sing some magic and hopefully you can figure it out.
Yeah.
Because I'm not that guy. That's not how I think,
Yeah.
and nothing wrong with any of that. But I do sing pretty. I like Woody Guthrie. I like Hank Williams. As far as songwriters, Guy Clark. I like storytellers, Tom T. Hall.
Yeah.
I like guys that when you listen, it's a story. And kind of because maybe I'm a simple guy. I can't figure stuff out. So I just like writing it.
Well, it sounds like you've had a lot of stories in your life, and you had just a fantastic family that just kind of nurtured all of that. With all those generations, and you listen to all those stories, it's
Right.
It's a
I
great
think
thing.
everybody has stories in their life. I mean, my story is no different than anybody else's stories, and so I think everybody, but we've lost a little bit of people telling stories,
Yeah.
or thinking that their story is not important. It's like, well, no, of course it is, because I write a song about granddaughter. How many people have granddaughters,
Right.
So, and
Not
that's a
everybody
story,
does.
right? Every day is a story with
Yeah.
a kid. So. Okay, so, but thanks. Yeah, that's kind of
Yeah.
what I like to write about.
So with our bonus track here that we're
Okay.
doing,
Well, I have the banjo
do
on.
you have any other questions for Pat, or should we let him play his bonus track?
You can do your last song, or what I was thinking about too is that your songs, like you were saying, are simplistic, but they're also, that's authentic. It's just
Right.
totally authentic. There's no pretense. It's just
Yeah.
it's just life that everybody can relate to.
That's kind of what I was trying to say, is that with everything that's going on, it brings you right back to what's important. Staying warm, family, and that's really more needed now, I think, with everything that we've all been through. I did want to ask you about COVID, though. Did you have a decrease in playing with COVID?
Yeah.
Like everybody has?
So I did the second album, and I had an album release party in March of 2020.
Oh, boy.
And we packed this house. It was cool, you know. And
That's
the next day, the world shut down.
Yes.
And as far as I know, nobody got COVID from there. But you know, it was on the horizon, but it wasn't a thing.
It was right when it was starting to come
Yeah.
here, because we had our last Irish wake of ever
Yep.
that night too, and we kind of knew it was coming, but then the next day it was like it was all over.
So
Yeah.
I've played a few festivals in the last couple of years, and I've been playing at a real cool place in Wausau called the Whitewater Music Hall and Brew Pub. And they've
Okay.
been doing a kind of
Yeah, I
Thursday
heard
night
about
thing.
that.
It's a nice venue and around, but again, everybody's starting to play, and I don't need to be full time and take gigs away from people either. But I'm available for work now. So,
And people can get a hold of you on your website.
well, website's
correct?
the best way to go. PatWileyMusic.com.
Okay.
Or if you see me driving by, just wave. I'll stop. And if you're a neighbor or something. But that's kind of how. And I post things again on Facebook. I'm pretty active on there, bragging about kids and nature pictures.
Yeah, and you did some maple syrup stuff last year. I hope you're going to do that again.
Yeah, I'll do
Yeah.
that again. And I was
Yeah.
going to do a maple syrup song because I have the banjo on, but now I'm into some other weird tuning. So I'm going to do a tune about squirrely stew.
Squirrel what? Squirrel stew?
I think we'll see how it goes.
Okay.
This is if that's okay. How much time do we have, by the way?
This is going to be it. And
Okay.
so I'm just going to say thank you, Pat Wiley, for coming.
Thank you, Marcy.
Tammy
And
Jo
Tammy.
Berg.
Thank you.
And
Nice to meet you.
thanks to our engineer, Josh Werner, here at 96.3 FM. And thanks to our audience, the wonderful John Wilson.
I'm going to try the squirrely stew song. 'Cause
Squirrely stew.
Talk about when I wrote this song, and I was making maple syrup, and I wrote this song in the Sugar Shack this year, and I came in, I was all excited because I thought this is hillbilly gold right here, and my wife Terry said, "Why would you ever write a song like that? Who would like to?" Anyway, so she wasn't impressed, but I think there's some hillbilly gold in here, and I'm a hunter, and this is about getting your own food, I guess, and
Okay.
stuff. We'll see how it goes.
Gray squirrel sitting in a white oak tree, lest my eyes playing tricks on me. That's where he's there, then he's gone. Treetop hopping in the early morn. Single shot rifle 22, old as a hill, shoot straight and true. Belonged to my granddad, now it's mine. Come to me when my granddad died. Taught me how to shoot squirrels, put them in a sack, take them on home and skin them out back. Cook them up slow in a nice brown roux, dumplings floating in a squirrely stew. Picking wild onions, trickery greens, hen of the woods from the base of the tree. Baker, grace my plate, pretty as you please, bow my head, give thanks for thee. Don't know what you're missing if you never ate squirrel, sweetest meat in the whole wide world. Won't find 'em in no butcher store, treetop hopping in the early morn. Gonna shoot me squirrels, put 'em in a sack, take 'em on home and skin 'em out back. Cook 'em up slow in a nice brown roux, dumplings floating in a squirrely stew.
Thank you.
Dumplings floating in a squirrely stew.